Before this video begins, understand this. What you're about to watch isn't just a street food story. It's not just about cooking, and it's definitely not about who has more money. This is one of those rare stories that quietly exposes how wrong the world can be about talent, power, and respect. Most people scroll past stories like this. They assume they already know how it ends. But if you do that here, you'll miss something important. Because this story isn't loud. It doesn't scream. It reveals itself slowly. And when it does, it stays with you. By the end of this video, you'll understand why this moment shocked an entire street, humbled a powerful man, and reminded millions why skill doesn't come from privilege. It comes from perseverance. If you've ever felt overlooked, underestimated, or judged by your appearance or status, this story is for you. So don't treat this like background noise. Watch closely. Listen carefully. Because stories like this don't just entertain, they change how you see people. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. It all began on an ordinary morning, on an ordinary street in Manila, where no one expected anything extraordinary to happen. At first, no one noticed him. In the middle of Manila's noisy streets, surrounded by honking jeepneys and rushing crowds, Juan stood behind a small, smoke-stained food cart. To most people, he was just another street food vendor. But that morning, something unusual was about to happen. Something that would stop traffic, draw crowds, and challenge everything people believed about power, money, and skill. Across the street, luxury SUVs slowly pulled in. Well-dressed assistants stepped out first, followed by a man in a tailored suit. This was Mr. Tan, one of the most powerful restaurant tycoons in the city. He owned fine dining establishments, celebrity chef kitchens, and multi-million-dollar food brands. The contrast between Juan's cart and Mr. Tan's presence couldn't have been sharper. What no one knew yet was that these two men were about to face each other, not in a boardroom, not in court, but right here on the street. No scripts, no second chances, just skill, instinct, and heart. And by the end of the day, one of them would walk away humbled. Juan had been selling food on these streets for over a decade. Rain or heat, good days or bad, he showed up before sunrise. His specialty was sisig, crispy, sizzling, bold, and unapologetically Filipino. He learned to cook not from culinary school, but from survival. Cooking wasn't a hobby. It was how he fed his family. Mr. Tan's world couldn't have been more different. His kitchens were spotless. His chefs wore white coats. Ingredients were imported, measured, and plated with precision. He believed success came from systems, resources, and control. Talent mattered, but money mattered more. Or so he thought. The challenge began unexpectedly. During a casual visit filmed for content, Mr. Tan was asked a simple question. Could street food ever compete with fine dining? He laughed politely, not cruelly, but confidently. He said street food was charming, but real mastery required training and capital. That comment didn't sit well with the crowd. Someone shouted from behind the camera, "Why not test it?" Laughter followed, then silence. Mr. Tan paused. He looked across the street. Smoke rose from Juan's cart. People were lining up. The smell was impossible to ignore. And then, almost impulsively, Mr. Tan agreed. The rules were simple. No teams, no assistants, one dish each, one surprise ingredient, 30 minutes. A small panel of local chefs and customers would judge purely on taste. No names, no reputation, just food. The crowd began to grow. Phones came out. Word spread fast. Juan was stunned when he was invited. At first, he thought it was a joke. He wiped his hands on his apron and asked if they were serious. When they nodded, his expression changed. Not fear, focus. This wasn't about ego. This was about respect. The secret ingredient was revealed. Siling labuyo, small, fiery Filipino chili peppers known for their intense heat. The clock started. Mr. Tan hesitated. His mind raced through techniques. Juan didn't hesitate at all. His hands moved automatically. Muscle memory. Years of repetition. Juan chopped, stirred, listened. He adjusted heat by smell, not measurement. Mr. Tan tried to adapt, but the street environment worked against him. Wind, Noise, time pressure. No stainless steel counters, no assistants, just him, a pan, and unfamiliar chaos. As minutes passed, the crowd grew quiet. Something was happening. Juan was in his element. Mr. Tan looked uncomfortable. The roles had reversed. The man with everything was struggling. The man with nothing was thriving. When time was called, both dishes were placed before the judges. Juan's plate was simple, sizzling, aromatic. Mr. Tan's dish looked refined, but rushed. The judges took their time. One bite, then another. Faces changed. The silence was heavy. People held their breath. Finally, the verdict came. The street food dish won. Not by a landslide, but clearly. The crowd erupted. Cheers echoed down the street. Juan stood frozen, stunned. Mr. Tan didn't argue. He nodded. He admitted something few powerful people ever say. "I underestimated him," he said, "and I was wrong." For Juan, the victory wasn't about beating a tycoon. It was about being seen. For years, people walked past him without looking. Now cameras followed him home. Interviews followed. Orders doubled. But this story wasn't just about food. It was about perception, about how often talent is dismissed because it doesn't wear a suit, about how Filipinos around the world are underestimated, not because they lack skill, but because they lack platforms. In the United States, viewers related instantly. Immigrants, workers, small business owners, people who had been told they weren't professional enough. The comments flooded in. Filipinos watching felt pride. Not loud pride, quiet pride. The kind built from resilience, from showing up every day even when no one notices. Mr. Tan later returned, not to compete, but to learn. He invited Juan to collaborate, not as charity, as equals, a partnership born from humility. The street didn't change Juan, fame didn't either. The next morning he was back at his cart, same spot, same fire, same heart. This wasn't a fairy tale, it was a reminder. Skill doesn't always come from privilege. Excellence doesn't need permission. Around the world, stories like Juan's are happening every day, unnoticed, until someone stops laughing, until someone pays attention. So the next time you walk past someone working quietly, remember this moment. Remember how wrong assumptions can be. Because greatness doesn't announce itself, it waits. Juan never asked to prove anything. He just showed up. And sometimes that's enough. The question isn't whether street food can beat fine dining. The question is how many talents we ignore every day. How many Juans are waiting, not for pity, but for a chance. If this story moved you, if you've ever been underestimated, you already know the answer. So let me ask you this. Have you ever been underestimated because of where you came from or what you do? Tell your story in the comments. And if you believe talent deserves respect, no matter where it comes from, like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this today.